Yo, what up? We're back, and this week it's going to be for a big card, UFC 242. Khabib Nurmagomedov taking on Dustin Poirier for the undisputed lightweight title, and it's the first fight in the Middle East title fight, I believe, for the UFC. So that's a big thing as well. And this card's also going to be at a weird time, kind of like last week's, where I think on the West Coast the early prelims start at 7 a.m. But yeah, so make sure to comment, like, subscribe on the video. And before we start, there is something that I want to announce that's pretty exciting, and it's that my videos are going to start being featured on MMAoddsbreakers.com as well. So hopefully I can start doing more content for them as well in the future. But for now, this video it's still going to be the same thing. If you're on YouTube, it's still going to be on here on my channel. You could still get it every Monday the same way that there's an event. But you could also go find it over there. So, you know, it'd be cool if you guys go support it over there. Go check their website out. It's a pretty cool site. They have a lot more, tips over there. They have my DraftKings breakdown that I do with Kyle Marley as well on that site. So there's a few things over there that you could check out, you could look at. But, yeah, so that's pretty exciting. That's a cool thing that's going on. And thanks for them for helping me out, putting the video on there, and giving me an opportunity. But, yeah, so we're going to get right into the card. And the first fight, Madge taking on Ziam. And Madge, he had a lot of people excited. He had a lot of momentum after his first UFC fight. He knocked out that guy. I can't even, who was it that he knocked out? But he was a huge underdog in the fight. And that was a while ago, though. He hasn't fought in a long... T. Edwards, that was who he knocked out. But he hasn't fought in almost a year. And he was supposed to fight Magomed Mustafayev, who was coming off a big win as well, but he's had to be replaced, and now he's taking on a UFC newcomer here on short notice. And Madge, he's a good striker, obviously. He's a veteran of over 100 Muay Thai fights. He loves to come forward, high guard, back opponents up. He throws straight, sharp, has a nice uppercut, good 1-2, good lead left hook, good left hook, right hook combination, nice leg kicks. And he'll go high with the kicks, front kicks to the body, to the head, rear leg round kicks to the head, to the body. And in his last fight, he was throwing a lot of head kicks. And, it seemed like he was really trying to, circle T. Edwards into the head kick as he circled off the cage. And that was actually how he was able to catch him and drop him. He also slips and rips well in the pocket, good punching combos, and he has experience fighting 5-round fights, good cardio overall, I would say, nice knees, and, he actually has fought some decent names in Muay Thai. He looks to have a good chin, he's very calm in a war, 5 knockouts, and he has been finished by strikes 1 time, but, it's still a huge match. It's hard to find a lot of footage on him, so it's still a big question mark, everything about him, but due to his extensive Muay Thai experience, he's good in the clinch, good knees, elbows, pretty good body locks, and when he gets you down, he does do a good job of taking the back. He has good rear naked chokes, but he doesn't seem to be the best wrestler offensively or defensively. He seems to be fairly good in the scrambles, and when he ends up on his back, he will do a good job of getting back to his feet. And in his last fight, he was taken down, but he was able to attack off his back with a triangle, with an arm bar. And, he looked decent. And he has finished all his wins. He's 0-1-1 in decisions, so that's something to look at for sure. His 3 losses in MMA have all been to the same person, and they've been by every method you could lose by, TKO, submission, and decision. I guess not a DQ, but Madge is going to need to chop the legs to me, go to the body, back up to the head, and try to break Ziam down, deny the takedowns, keep the fight on the feet. But for Fares, he's jumping into this fight on short notice, but it looks pretty solid to me. 10-2, he's fighting out of France, won 5 fights in a row, 4 finishes, and he's a glory kickboxer also, so he has some pretty good experience on the feet. He usually likes to keep fights on the feet, but he actually has a pretty good wrestling game as well. Really nasty chopping leg kicks, though. Throws those early and often. Good jab, and you'll follow that with the leg kicks inside, outside. Good 1-2, and his straight right hand is nasty. Very accurate. It stuns opponents almost every time it lands. And he has a nice counter left hook. He'll throw round front kicks to the body, to the head. He'll feint low, go high with the kicks. And has a couple head kick knockouts that are pretty impressive. And his movement, to me, isn't the best for MMA. He stands tall, doesn't control the center well. And he gets cut off and you'll be stuck with his back against the cage and his chin high. And opponents are able to attack the body, land overhands, hooks. But he's dangerous in close range with elbows, short punches. He's very fast and he has power that backs fighters off. But he could put himself in trouble there with the small gloves. He does have pretty good durability, but I've seen him drop to the body in glory. He has never been finished in MMA by strikes. And he does have 5 knockouts. And he's tall, he's long, and it helps him be dangerous in the clinch. He'll dig very good double underhooks, get the Muay Thai plum, has really big shots there, big knees to the body, to the head, really big elbows, and he can knock opponents out in the clinch without a doubt. He'll also go for body locks, and he was even able to circle to the back at a suplex in a recent fight, and he has a very nice double leg. He likes to take the back off the double leg, and I actually think he's a better grappler than striker in MMA. His ground game on bottom looks questionable though, and his takedown defense needs work. But in the clinch, I would say his takedown defense is pretty good. But if you could shoot in on the legs, he's a little bit easier to be taken down. And he can also throw kicks without enough space at times. And when he's taken down, he doesn't show much off his back. He'll allow opponents to pass into more dominant positions. He's given his back up trying to stand up. But he's explosive and he scrambles back up to his feet well when he sees an opportunity. But he has been submitted twice by a rear naked choke. And he does have a triangle choke off his back. He has a rear naked choke. He also got a guillotine in his last fight. But I would say he needs to work on his ground game. But with his length, he should be at least able to become good defensively off his back. But offensively, I would say he already has pretty good grappling. Good takedowns, good control on top. He's long. He's able to kind of pot shot and get takedowns. The up-down game a little bit. He kind of reminds you of like a better version, a much better striking version of Geraldo de Freitas. And I'm going to say I think Ziam needs to get takedowns control from top position to win this fight. I think he's going to be able to land some nice counters. And the striking's going to be close. But I think overall, Don Madge is the better striker. And Ziam needs to have longer periods of top control to win this fight. And I'm actually going to go with Feroz here. I think that he's going to be able to get takedowns, control on top. I think that his reach, his length will allow him to land some nice shots on the feet, make him competitive. And I'm going to say he wins a decision here. But, not very confident in this matchup or either guy to win here. But pick's going to be Feroz Ziam to get the win. And up next here we have a pretty good, close competitive fight with Zach Cummings taking on Omari Akhmedov. Both these guys are actually 170ers that moved up to 185 and are undefeated since we moved up to 185. But Zach Cummings, he's 2-0, and he's coming off one of his better performances in his UFC career against Trevin Giles, where he was the underdog in that fight, and he took some big shots, but he was able to stay right in the pocket, ate him, eventually found his own, and took advantage of the situation, got the guillotine choke, and he opened a pretty big underdog in this matchup as well, but the line has changed, and now Cummings is a very slight underdog. But for Omari Akhmedov, he returned from a pretty long layoff, and he took out Tim Bosch in March, and he's one of the more unsung fighters in the division. He's been unbeaten in his last 4 fights. He hasn't lost since 2016, and that loss was to a pretty good fighter in Zaleski dos Santos. So win here for Akhmedov or Cummings, to be honest, would be a massive and probably push him into top 10, top 15 matchups. But, Omari, he's been fighting some unsung guys, man. Very tough guys. Zaleski, Marvin Vettori, Razak Al-Hassan. And I feel he should be talked about a little bit more, but his weight class changes, his layoffs have quelled his momentum a little bit. But, in this fight, we got a guy in Zach Cummings who's a southpaw. He's a pressure fighter. And he started to implement some more stance switching. He likes to switch stances, throw outside leg kicks with both legs. He'll feint, draw a lot of counters, then go. He has some good jabs, good check right hook, left uppercut, and his straight left hand is definitely his most powerful shot on the feet. But both these guys are pretty low output. They can kind of get stuck waiting for each other or for their opponents. And I would say Cummings is a little flat-footed. And faster fighters can close distance, land, and get out, which Omari's pretty good at, but Omari doesn't have that speed either. Cummings also has some good front kicks, round kicks. He'll throw head kicks, and he has a strong chin, man, extremely durable. His ability to take punishment is pretty phenomenal. Never been finished by strikes in his career, 6 knockouts. And he's a very good grappler. He's a black belt, strong in the clinch, very good knees to the body, to the legs. Does a good job trapping the wrist, disengaging with big combinations. He isn't a very active wrestler. He kind of prefers to strike, and then when his opponent shoot takedowns in on him, he'll make him pay by snatching the neck or taking top position. And he's nasty front chokes, guillotines. He was able to lock that in against Trevin Giles in his last fight. 12 submissions. And he's only been submitted 1 time against Gunnar Nelson. Both these guys actually lost to Gunnar. And 3 of his last 4 wins have come via submission. So he's been getting a lot of submissions lately. In this fight, Cummings has to be a brick wall. He has to walk Akhmedov down, constantly go forward. When Akhmedov lands or tries to throw a hook or a combo counter, stand his ground, eat the shots, or, slip them and look to counter with straight punches. And if Akhmedov goes for takedowns, stuff it, make him pay by taking top position. And I would say pick up the pace as the fight goes on. Maybe try to take Omari out in the 3rd round. But for Omari, he's more of a counter striker. He can strike going forwards or backwards, but he likes to use a lot of lateral movement, walk opponents into leg kicks, hooks, overhands. He throws pretty nasty inside low kicks. He'll wing dangerous hooks, overhand rights, and he has a pretty good straight right hand as well. And when Omari goes forward, he doesn't throw a lot of variety, but he throws a lot of volume. He'll come forward, he'll throw big looping hooks, kind of like those Russian-style casting hooks. Closes a lot of distance with those. He'll go to the body. And he does do a decent job of using his hand or his lead hand to gauge distance, leap into straight right hand, left hook combinations, or just the lead left hook. And he'll attack the body as well, with straights, with hooks. And when he goes forward, gets confidence, he'll get very aggressive. He'll also throw some nice body kicks, front kicks. He'll even go to the face with the front kick. But his defense isn't the best. When he's in the pocket, he throws a lot of wide shots. Opponents are able to throw tighter, straighter punches, counter. And when he gets hit, he'll kind of just back up in a straight line. Marvin Vettori was able to exploit that a little bit, putting long combinations together. And Akhmedov can be low output at times as well, and just kind of try to pot shot from the outside, make it a methodical pace. But he can allow opponents to control the center, throw more volume, especially in the later rounds. And he has been stunned, knocked out in the past, but I would say he's pretty durable. He was able to take a lot of punishment against big hitters like Razak Al-Hassan, Tim Bosch. And when he gets stunned, man, he's dangerous. He'll plant his feet, he'll trade, he'll go to war. And he has been TKO'd in his 2 UFC losses, and he has 7 knockouts himself. But Omari is a strong grappler. He doesn't have the cardio or top game to grind 3 rounds, in my opinion, so he only wrestles in spots. In his last fight with Tim Bosch, he did have good clinch control. He was able to dig double underhooks, control the bigger fighter against the cage. He landed some nice shoulder shrugs, knees to the body. He went for a few body locks, trips, but couldn't get any takedowns. But he did show off a good single and double leg when he fought Abdurakhimov Al-Hassan, and he used his striking to set those takedowns up pretty well in that fight. He doesn't really have the greatest top control. Fighters are able to stand up from under him. And in this fight, it's going to be interesting because I'm not sure Akhmedov wants to try to take down BJJ black belt like Cummings. And for Akhmedov, he has 5 submissions, but none in the UFC, and he has been submitted twice before. And he tends to gas out, especially when opponents put pressure on him. He'll try to keep opponents off with pot shots, but he noticeably fades in the 3rd round. He lost the 3rd round in his last fight, and lost 3rd round versus Vettori pretty badly. In this fight, that's what I see Omari trying to do. I think he's going to try to work the leg kicks, counter boxing, stick and move. I don't see him going for many takedowns, but maybe he'll look to control him against the cage for periods of time. But in this fight, I'm going to go with Zach Cummings. I think he's going to be able to take the power of Omari, stay in his face, make him fight moving backwards. I think he's going to be able to counter him and make Omari be defensive with some combinations. I think he should attack the body, look to force Omari to clinch, grapple. And if he can go forward, stay off his back, I see him taking the victory just by winning the attrition battle here, the battle of cardio. And I'm going to say Cummings via 3rd round finish or via decision in this fight. And up next year we have a fight that I've actually been looking forward to for a while now, with Nordine Taleb taking on Muslim Salikhov. I actually have a pretty strong opinion on this fight, who I think is going to win, so hopefully I could be making money on this fight as well. But Nordine Taleb, he comes in the slight favorite here. It's about 2 top 15 hopefuls. And Taleb, he's been lingering around that area for what it seems like ages, man. He just hasn't been able to break through to that top 15. But he did bounce back from back-to-back losses to win against Piotr Polik in his last fight. And at 37 years old, this is a must-win for Taleb. And Taleb, he's a technical guy. He likes to counter himself, play the outside game, good jab. He's good at moving in and out. You'll throw a jab, left hook, a good 1-2. Really nasty kicks with both legs, very fast. Heavy leg kicks, body kicks, switch kicks with no wind up. Very nice counter straight right hand he'll pull counter with. And he'll throw the right leg round kick to the body to a straight right hand combination. That's really nice. Really nice front kicks as well. He even throw jumping switch kicks. Really good round kicks. You know, his kicks are just very good overall. He likes to catch kicks, and he'll follow with right hands down the pipe. And he's very fast. You know, I would say he likes to pick his shots, pot shot and move. Low volume, deliberate pace. But he also can bite down on the mouthpiece, go to war. He showed that against Santiago Ponzinibbio. But he was knocked out by Sean Strickland. I feel his durability could be going a bit, and he has good defense historically. He's hard to hit in the UFC. So that's good for him in terms of protecting his chin. But he has 7 knockouts, and he has been finished twice by strikes. And Taleb's definitely going to be the better grappler here if it gets to the ground. I don't know about the better wrestler, but, I guess. I don't know. I think Muslim maybe is a better wrestler here, but, you know, Taleb, he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu under Firas Zahabi, and he's going to deny the clits exiting with knees or throwing elbows. And I would say he doesn't really go for takedowns much, but he will reverse get on top, and he will also shoot double legs sometimes when opponents, back up towards the cage, or he kind of gets desperate a little bit. But he's only gotten 1 takedown in his last 4 fights, and that was a takedown against Claudio Silva where he didn't even fall him to the mat. He kind of just slammed him and disengaged. And he has shown a good wrestling game in the past, but that was in 2015, and that's a long time ago against a lesser opponent. And his defensive wrestling is good. I don't think that's going to matter in this fight, but he's very methodical. He's heavy on top when he gets top position, and he likes to press or pass. He'll get to dominant positions like side control, big elbows there, and he's also good at catching kicks and getting takedowns. But he can have lapses in judgment in grappling scenarios. He ended up on his back against Oliver Enkamp multiple times by being too aggressive in scrambles. And in this fight versus Claudio Silva, he went for a leg lock against an elite black belt, gave his back and was submitted there, so that's bad fight IQ. In this fight, man, I do think the path to victory, though, is through wrestling more often, or he at least has to threaten with the wrestling to create striking openings, because Taleb should have an advantage if he takes top position, but he does have 0 submissions, and he has been submitted twice. In this fight, I think Taleb has to own the center of the cage, and use his wrestling to get takedowns or set up punching combinations. You know, attack with body locks, double legs, and see if he can get Muslim Salikhov down. If he can't use those takedown attempts to actually get the takedown, start to come over the top with shots, exit the clinch with elbows, followed by leg kicks, and he's also going to have a significant reach advantage. So if he can use his kicks, long-range attacks, to keep Salikhov on the outside, that could be a path to victory, but that seems easier said than done here. Muslim Salikhov, he's in a similar situation to Taleb. He doesn't have nearly the experience in the UFC, but 35 years old, he has to get going here. And he was a legendary wushu kickboxing competitor, but he's only 1-1 so far in the UFC, so he's definitely going to want to, improve on that. He lost his UFC debut, but he bounced back in a big way in his last fight with a vicious knockout. But he hasn't fought in over a year and a half, and he kind of let that momentum slip away because he was suspended by USADA for Tyrannoball, but he was clear due to them not being able to decipher if he took it before or after he was in the UFC. So that's a little suspect. At 35 years old, that's definitely a question mark, because if he was using, he may look bad here. But for Salikhov, he hasn't really beaten anyone noteworthy so far in his MMA career. This would definitely be his biggest win. He did defeat Melvin Gillard, but who doesn't defeat Melvin these days? I mean, no disrespect, but Salikhov is extremely light on his feet. Great distance control, in and out movement, feints, super fast closing the distance with both punches, kicks, really nasty jab, heavy low kicks, leaping left hook, overhand rights that are really, really explosive, powerful, nasty left hook, straight right hand combination. And he'll counter as opponents try to get inside very well. And he's always looking to set up spinning attacks, which just are extremely dangerous. He pull counters excellently with those kicks as well as those punches. Many KOs with spinning techniques, spinning back kicks both to the body, to the head. He'll start low, he'll attack the body until opponents lower their guard, then goes high. Really good spinning back fist also. Nasty switch kicks to the body and the head. And this man on the feet is a problem. He's over 100 combined knockouts between kickboxing, wushu, and MMA. And he added a UFC knockout to his resume in his last fight in brutal fashion. So definitely he's going to be looking to get another one. And his defense on the feet is pretty excellent. Great head movement. He circles out excellently. Great eyes. He catches kicks, counters with punches as his opponents are off balance. And the only issue I would say he has sometimes is he can't get hit with overhands after opponents feint takedowns. And sometimes he can get hit a little bit in the pocket because he, has faith in his chin and wants to counter back. But they do have smaller gloves than he's used to fighting with. And I mean, if he gets hit clean, anyone can go out here. But overall, he's just very quick. He's hard to hit. He's never been knocked out in MMA. And in 199 kickboxing matches, he was knocked out one time out of 199 fights. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive there. But he isn't an offensive grappler. Pretty good defensively. Very strong, and his footwork makes it hard to do time a shot on him. But Alex Garcia was able to take him down by putting him against the fence, chain wrestling. His initial takedown defense is strong. He has a heavy sprawl. He'll dig underhooks to deny double legs. His issue is with the chain wrestling. He's slow in the transitions, and kind of will allow opponent to get in on a position before he starts defending and just take him down. But he's explosive. He'll look for moments to dig an underhook, get back to his feet. And he has been working over there at Mark Henry's with a lot of those guys that are really good wrestlers. So, that could only help his ground game even more. And especially, we don't know what he's been doing with this year and a half off. He may come back with a much better ground game. And he was taken down against the cage. Took some big ground and pound against Alex Garcia. But, he did have some moments on the ground as well where he got a reversal and stood back up in the first round. He defended some takedowns. And he was eventually rear naked choked in that fight. But his takedown defense is always improving, and it's not bad. Both his losses have come by rear naked choke. But he does have 2 arm triangle submissions. But getting a submission over a brown belt is not very likely here. And I'm going to say he's going to want to keep it standing for sure. Get the knockout, obviously. And he's used a lot of feints, fakes, forward pressure, back to Taleb up, cut off the cage, look to counter. And when Taleb makes mistakes, make him pay. And Taleb likes to catch kicks, versus Salikhov, that may be a bad idea. If he fakes low and goes high, Taleb could be put to sleep, he could be in trouble. And I would say you should try to attack the lower body, leg kicks, body kicks, and go high later in the fight. And he should be the quicker fighter with his footwork. And he needs to stay off his back. If he can make this a striking fight, it's going to be a tough night for Taleb, in my opinion. And I think this fight favors Muslim to me. Taleb isn't a super good wrestler. And from what I've seen, I think Muslim may be the better wrestler. I haven't seen chain wrestling really shown by Taleb. And to take down a guy like Muslim, that's kind of what you need. On the feet, I think that Muslim's going to be able to control the center with the distance control, with his footwork, with his feints. I think he's going to be the faster guy. And I don't think that Nordine is really used to fighting guys that are faster than him. And I see him being better with the better variety along with shot selection. And I see him getting hit or hitting and not getting hit, frustrating Nordine. And I think as Nordine gets more aggressive, I kind of see him walking onto something and getting finished. And I'm going to say Muslim Salikhov via second round, spinning back fist knockout in this fight. And I do have a bet on Salikhov, and I'm pretty confident that he's going to win this fight here. And up next here we have another pretty good fight where I think the line is a little off here, even though I do think that Belal is obviously rightfully the favorite, with Belal Muhammad taking on Takashi Sato. And for Belal, man, he bounced back from his decision loss to Jeff Neal. He took a unanimous decision over Curtis Millender. And he is 5-1 in his last 6 fights in the UFC. And he's a very dedicated guy, man. He's definitely going to be ready to go. He's going to be in fantastic shape. And he's a forward pressure fighter on the feet. And he has pretty good distance control. You know, he's a technically sound guy. Crisp boxing. He has a great lead hand, nice jabs, left hooks. He'll throw a jab, left hook combination. Really good 1-2. And he's good at slipping the jab, throwing overhand rights. He'll throw 1-2 to the body to a right hook. And in the pocket, that's where he's very good. He could slip in return. He could, block in return. He's very calm. Cheeky uppercuts. He'll use the jab to set up his right hand. He'll throw 8 to 10 punch combinations. Touch, power. And heavy pressure. He'll keep the volume on guys. He does a great job of kind of sliding out of the way of shots, rolling with shots, countering with jabs, straight right hand, staying in your face. Nice inside-outside leg kicks. And he will throw round kicks to the body, front kicks. And he's not much of a kicker, though. He predominantly is a boxer. But he's very good at cutting off the cage. He'll safely get inside with, feints. Very good cardio. And he's always controlling the center, usually. He also likes to hand fight to create openings for punches, but he does hold his hands low at times, and he can walk into punches. And Sato is kind of a slick counter puncher, so Muhammad has to be defensively sound here. And for Belal, his main issue so far in his UFC career is doesn't have finishing ability. He only has 4 TKOs, and none of those have been in the UFC. And he has a strong chin. You're definitely gonna have to put him out cold to stop him. He showed that against Alan Juban. He had great recoverability. He'll tie opponents up. The same thing against Jeff Neal. And if you try to go for the finish on him and you blow your gas tank, his cardio allows him to fully recover and start to put on the pressure very quickly and potentially take you out. But he has been KO'd only 1 time in his career, and he's the better grappler here. If he can get this fight to the ground, he's going to have some success. He needs to push his opponent to the cage, grind in the clinch. He has good knees. He'll exit with spinning back fists, spinning back elbows, good singles, doubles, and times them very well. I mean, I expect a heavy dose of wrestling in this fight. I think that on top, Belal solid control, good elbows, good back takes, and I highly doubt he's going to get put on his back here unless he gets dropped. But he has no submissions in his career. He's more of just a control guy. But for Sato, he did earn a nice knockout against Ben Saunders in his UFC debut. And he's fought some decent guys as well, like Glyco França. And he's getting a big opportunity here to jump the ladder. If he can beat Belal Muhammad, he'll likely have a ranked opponent in his next fight. And Sato, he has a lot to gain, not much to lose here. So it's a good spot for him. He's a good striker, and he has kind of a wide stance, very light on his feet, tries to control distance, jumping in and out. Good jab, very clean, powerful, straight left hand. And his punches are very flat, very fast. He's very fluid, not a lot of wasted movement. And he does a great job throwing a jab followed by a left elbow, which is nasty. He'll attack the body, straight left hands, left hooks. And he's excellent at just sliding out of the way shots, countering, pull countering, and very fast hand speed. And he'll also pepper with shots, mix in powerful ones like Muhammad. But he does stand a little bit upright. He has his chin high, so he is there to be hit. And his eyes and head movements save him in that regard. But he can get hit. And Belal, does put combinations together well. So that's a little bit something that he has to address for sure. And he also is heavy on his lead leg. He's there to be leg kicked. And that's something that Belal is also very good at. So he needs to be ready to check those kicks. But Sato has a good chin. He has good recoverability. He's only been finished by strikes once. And he has 10 knockouts, so he definitely has knockout power. And I would say his grappling isn't bad. He has good body locks, judo throws. He has a strong top game. He definitely likes to take the back. He'll get the mount. He'll go for the finish with strikes. And he won his last 2 fights via ground and pound. So Sato, he's a good defensive grappler, good takedown defense, good get-ups. In the clinch, he definitely has strong hips. And he'll even counter with judo throws, big elbows off the breaks. He's good at springing right back up as well when opponents take him down, not letting his opponents get his hips square on the mat. And he impressed me in his fight against Glyco França with his grappling ability. he was able to deny a majority of the takedowns. He stood up quickly when he was taken down, but eventually did get submitted in that fight. And he isn't a submission threat. He only has 2 in his career. But this fight's going to come down to distance control. You know, Sato's going to want to keep the distance, counter with the straight punches, his jabs, stay on the outside. And I expect Muhammad to throw a lot of leg kicks. So Sato has to be ready to counter with the straight or overhand right or check the kicks. And he has to be able to land an angle. He can't let Muhammad back him up. He needs to try to snipe Muhammad coming in. And for Muhammad, you know, sometimes he can struggle with movement. He can come up short with his punches. And he has been countered and dropped by guys like Alan Jouban, Jeff Neal. So Sato needs to also be ready to defend or reverse the takedowns, not get put on his back. But, you know, I don't think he's in big trouble being submitted if he gets taken down. But if Muhammad can take him down against the cage, I'm not sure Sato's going to be able to get Muhammad off of him. I think he'll be able to stand up, but I see Muhammad staying connected with the tight waist, Matt returning him more often than not. And for Muhammad, you know, it's forward pressure, cutting off the cage, taking advantage of the fact that Sato doesn't move his head, and uses punches to set up takedowns, throw a lot of leg kicks. If he gets slow the movement of Sato, he's going to sort of take over the fight. I kind of think that Sato's stance also gives up the single leg, and Muhammad should attack takedowns on the lower body. I think if he can get him to the cage, he's going to be able to take him down for sure. And Muhammad and Sato both have good cardio, but Muhammad has more experience, which I think is going to be pivotal here if it's a tough competitive fight. I think Sato needs to drop Muhammad multiple times or knock him out to win. And I think more likely Muhammad is going to use his boxing to get inside, get Sato to the cage, grind him out. I think on the feet he's going to have success as well and just be the more well-rounded guy here. I don't think he's going to finish Sato, and I think he maybe even will struggle early on, but I'm going to say he wins 30-27 or 29-28 decision. And, you know, I think the line is a little wide, but I do see why, and I do think that Bilal should definitely get the victory here. You know, next year we have a fight that I'm not really very interested in, but Ottman Azaitar, he's going to be taking on Teemu Packalen. And, you know, for Ottman, his brother debuted in the UFC earlier this year, but he didn't get the victory. So Ottman at 11-0, he's going to be looking to be the first Azaitar to get a win in the UFC. But he looks athletic, explosive, but not very technical. You know, he's very aggressive. He throws a lot of volume. He'll throw, you know, a lot of kicks. He'll throw jabs, 1-2s, overhand rights, leaping left hooks, but he's not really structured in the way that he throws anything. You know, it doesn't look like he has any game plan. In his last fight, you know, the first left hook he landed did end the fight in less than 20 seconds. And he'll go to the body with those hooks as well. And when he gets hit, man, he doesn't really care about defense. He just returns with punches. And it just makes it a 50-50 fight. He's been dropped several times. He does have big power. He's been able to win those kind of drag-out, knockdown wars so far. And he has good leg kicks, good round kicks, front kicks to the body. He will throw head kicks at times, but his kicks come sloppy, slow at times as well. And his defense on the feet is just not very good. He holds his hands low, and when he punches, he doesn't bring them back to his face. And he'll just chin right in the air. He doesn't really move his head. He'll just sit in the pocket and throw wide hooks, uppercuts, and just leave himself super open to be hit. But he has 7 knockouts, 3 in a row, and he's never been finished. And, you know, he's strong for the division, but he's kind of an average grappler. In the clinch, he has good knees. He'll dig double underhooks. He'll push opponents to the cage and try to work body locks, double legs. And on top, he's pretty aggressive with ground and pound, but his top control isn't great. He doesn't really have much of a submission threat. He does have one rear naked choke, but his takedown defense is not good. He'll kind of jump on guillotines instead of defending takedowns at times. And off his back, he doesn't have much at all. He doesn't really have good get-ups. He gasses on bottom. And he doesn't have great cardio, especially in the later rounds. And he has 2 submissions. And in this fight, you know, I think he's going to want to try to catch Packalen coming in or time a knee on his entry. And he's going to have the power advantage here. But, you know, I don't know why he's such a favorite, to be honest with you. But for Teemu Packalen, he's making his return after he took over 2.5 years off. And the combined time of his last 2 fights have been less than a minute. So I mean, he's 1-2 in the UFC, but he's spent a grand total of 54 seconds in the octagon in the last 4 years. And he's very tall. He's a long reach, and he's going to be significantly bigger here, or taller at least in the matchup. And he's a ground fighter, ground specialist. His striking skills are a little bit limited. He kind of likes to move, throw long punches, jab, straight right hands, then dive in on the legs. And he will close the distance with some flurries. He'll feint takedowns, come over the top with the overhands, and he has pretty quick hands, like one at a time. He doesn't really throw combos. He would throw an overhand right, left hook combo, and he'll throw some occasional kicks, but not many. His defense is not good, though. He'll reach a lot. He'll extend his hands, and he holds them low to begin with, and he stands tall. He's susceptible to body shots. And when he finished Thibaut Gouti, he did drop him with a big uppercut and then got rid of a choke. And in his last fight, though, he got knocked out very badly against Mark Giacchese. He went down like a stick figure, man. It was kind of hard to see that. He was stiff as a board, but he has 2 KO TKOs that both came on the ground. But he's a good submission grappler. He's a okay single leg. I mean, he's very dogged with it, and he shoots it quickly, but after a couple shots it becomes very obvious. And he will try to get in on the single and pull guard, and he'll attack leg locks when he pulls guard. And when he takes top position, he is aggressive for submissions. He's fun to watch in top position. He'll hunt for Kimuras. He'll jump on rear naked chokes, and in guard off of his back, he'll also attack with triangles, arm bars, and all of his finishes have come on the ground. He's kind of a guy that doesn't really care about position. He'll go for a submission. If he ends up on his back, he'll just go for another submission, try to sweep. And this is a winnable fight for Packalen. He kind of needs to make Azaitar work, get him tired, and try to find the submission on the ground. But I'm going to go with Ottoman Azaitar. I feel like Azaitar will get the knockout in the first round. If he doesn't, it could become dicey, especially if Packalen could start to get takedowns. But also, who knows what Packalen will look like after 2.5 years off. But I mean, this is a pass fight for me, man. But I'm going to pick Ottoman Azaitar to get the win here. Man, I mean, these 2 fights in a row is a little bit cruel and unusual punishment, man. Okay, here's Liana Jojua taking out Sarah Moras in this one. And Liana, she's a 7-2 fighter. She's fighting out of Georgia, not the state, the country. And she's won 5 consecutive fights. But I wasn't really impressed with her striking. She doesn't really offer much. She's slow, she's stiff, and she really will only look for 1-2s. She'll throw a left hook straight hand or a left hook overhand right, but doesn't throw many kicks, much of anything besides that. She will keep pressure on opponents and keep them on the back foot, and looks to have some good composure. She looks durable. She's never been finished, but her stand-up isn't very dangerous. She only has 1 career TKO, and her grappling looks okay. She'll use her punches to get in, duck under for the double legs. She'll, look for clinch attacks where she'll attack the body with punches. She'll go over the top with the elbows. She'll try to go for clinch takedowns. And she has no problem pulling guard, dropping for leg locks, but her wrestling isn't very good. In her last fight, she was taken down several times. She was controlled in top position. And she looks kind of like a leg lock girl. She's always hunting for the legs, 50-50 position. And she will finish them, but she's, more adept at using them to sweep. And she has good arm bars off her back. And in top position, her ground and pound isn't bad. And she passes well. She'll go to side control. She'll land some big hammer fists. And she's a finisher there. She has 5 submissions on the ground. And she has been submitted 1 time. In her last fight, she got put in some arm bars, but she was easily able to defend them. But against Sarah Moras, she may, get her arm broken, so she needs to be sharper, avoid even being in that situation. But her cardio isn't bad. She went 5 rounds in her last fight, and I actually thought she lost that fight, even with a point deduction for her opponent. But, she's still young. She's 24 years old, and she has a winnable matchup here. In this fight, she needs to go for takedowns or sweeps off her back, and I think the striking maybe favors Moras a little bit, but Moras has very bad takedown defense. If she can get top position, she may be able to grind out a victory, maybe even get a submission here. But Sarah, she definitely needs a victory. She's lost 3 fights in a row, 4 out of her last 5. And she's been in the UFC since 2013, but that may change if she loses here. She does have some nice wins, but with a 5-5 record overall, she's really hard to trust, man. I mean, basically just an armbar or bust. I mean, on the feet, though, in this fight, she may be the better striker. I mean, she will throw some hard left hooks, decent leg kicks, and she has some power. I mean, she could rock people, and she's tough. She could take shots and walk through them. She was TKO'd for the first time in her last fight, and she did get dropped several times by Lucy Pudilova, so she may be waning a little bit with her durability. But, her offensive wrestling is okay. I mean, good double legs. She kind of lacks the drive on her shots, though. And, she will attack some singles as well. And when she gets top position, she will work from the guard mainly and just kind of land short ground and pound. And really, what she is off her back. She just has a nice armbar. That's really it. I mean, she can be controlled on her back, and she can be taken out very easily. And if you can pass her guard, she lays flat. She doesn't offer much. She was TKO'd with ground and pound in her last fight. And, I would say she needs to be aggressive, go first here. She's going to be the bigger fighter, and she needs to try to be offensive with her wrestling. Maybe control on top, ground out to win. And on the feet, I think she could throw some successful combinations, but I really don't have a good read on this fight. To me, it's 50-50. I'm gonna go with Liana by split decision win here. Up next here we have the return of Zubair Tukhugov, and he's making his return after a long suspension. He's suspended by USADA, and he was suspended for punching Conor McGregor in that brawl at UFC 229. And that incident is probably what he's most famous for up to this point, but he's a good fighter. He's 3-1 in the UFC, and his one loss was a split decision to Renato Moicano, who's a top 10 guy. And he hasn't fought since then, though, since the Moicano fight, which was over 3 years ago. And he's going to be taking on a UFC newcomer here in Laurent Murphy. That doesn't look that bad, so he has to be ready to go here. And he's an okay striker. He holds his hands low, though, but he's light on his feet. He's quick in and out. And having his hands down does help disguise when his punches are coming. And he leaps into his shots effectively. He has a really nice leaping left hook. Very fast with it. And he closes his distance a lot. He will double up on the left hook. And he likes to throw a left hook overhand right or right uppercut combination. He'll throw some straight punch flurries. And then also throw some nice kicks, body kicks, head kicks, even spinning kicks. His striking is a little wild. He needs to get this fight to the mat, in my opinion. He does have 6 KO TKOs, and he has been finished by strikes one time. But he's a strong wrestler. He needs to implement a grappling-heavy game plan here. His in-and-out movement does make it hard to know when he's going to throw a punch or duck under for a takedown. And he has a nice single leg. He also is very good at using his left hook to set up a interesting foot sweep type takedown. Good top control. And he does enough to, with ground and pound to keep top position. He isn't the most aggressive grappler in fights, and he will stand and trade. In this fight, he needs to avoid that. Get in on the legs, take Murphy down, grind him out. He isn't a submission threat, but in this fight, if he works Murphy over on top, he may get one. He only has one submission, and he has been submitted one time. For Laurent Murphy, he's going to be making his UFC debut here in hostile territory for sure. He's going to be taking on one of Khabib's boys in the Middle East. And he's undefeated at 8-0, but this will be his first bout outside of England. He also hasn't fought the toughest or most experienced competition. This is a big step up for him, but Murphy has pretty much been a buzzsaw so far in his career. He's extremely fast, he's athletic, he's dominated most of his opponents. Very good in and out movement, switch stances at the same time, good jab, heavy leg kicks, nasty 1-2. His straight right hand is a lightning bolt, extremely accurate. Murphy has great head movement. He's calm in the pocket. He'll slip and rip hooks, overhands, nice body shots, nice kicking technique, good round kicks, body head. He'll throw front leg side kicks, and he's explosive. He closes a lot of distance with blitz combos. His defense is also good, but he slows down. His hands start to drop as the fight goes on, and he can't back up against the cage and just shell up, try to slip and return. And he's dangerous, though. Big knockout power, 5 knockouts. He's never been finished. His grappling is largely a question mark. He has good movement. He's probably going to be hard to get in on, but from the limited grappling footage I've seen, He seems he needs work. I don't like his clinch work. He uses a lot of strength instead of technique. His takedown defense, his jiu-jitsu also looks a little bit questionable. In his last fight, he did get a body lock takedown. He finished with ground and pound. He doesn't have any submissions. In this fight, he definitely is going to want to keep it standing. He's very dangerous early, and all his finishes are in the first round. In this fight, I think that his best chance of winning is starting fast, taking advantage of Tukhugov's layoff, knocking him out early. And I think this line is off in this fight. Zubair's style with his hands down is dangerous, especially early against a fighter like Laron Murphy. I really do think there's a good possibility Murphy gets a first round knockout. I think on the feet, Murphy's striking is overall better. Cleaner punches, better kicks, tighter technique. Zubair needs to use his left hook to try to catch Murphy, look for takedowns, make him tired, and then he can strike with him. But I do see him having success taking Murphy down, controlling him. If he comes in with that game plan, I think that he can get the win. I think Murphy is still live here, and I did put a bet on Murphy because of the line. But with this fight being his first UFC fight in Abu Dhabi against a solid guy, maybe too much. I will say Tukhugov by decision, but I think the line should be much closer. I think that I would put Zubair like minus 200, minus 175. Yeah, that's just my opinion here on this fight. And up next here, we have Andrea KGB taking on Joanne Calderwood. And Andrea Lee, she continued to impress. She picked up another victory against Montana De La Rosa in her last match. She's 3-0 in the UFC, and she has won 7 fights in a row. And Jojua Calderwood, she suffered her first loss at flyweight in her career in her last fight. It was a close fight. It was a title eliminator fight. There's no shame in the loss. And Calderwood is still 3-1 in the featherweight division. And if she can beat Angela Lee, she will be right back in the mix for a title shot. This is an interesting fight. Lee's going to want to get it to the ground, keep Jojua, and Jojo is going to want to keep it standing. On the feet, I think the fight becomes much closer. Lee has a long reach. She's going to have a 4.5-inch reach advantage here. And she also has a nice jab. And Jojo struggles with head movement. So I think those jabs or straights are going to be there all day for Andrea Lee. For Jojo, she's going to have to forward pressure, use her front kicks or round kicks to the body, and get Lee near the cage. And if she can get Lee there, that's where Jojo has the chance to put together some punching combinations, maybe land a big shot like a spinning back kick or a spinning back fist. I think Lee struggles a little bit with forward pressure and combination striking, so Jojo has a chance to win if she can implement that game plan. The problem with that to me is the fact that Lee could wrestle better and is much bigger and physically stronger in my opinion, better in the clinch also. And I also think she's just the better overall athlete. I think that if Lee can use her jab to land some shots, set up the takedown, she's going to have a lot of success with that. I think Lee also has very good double legs, but her clinch takedowns are where she's extremely successful. She'll also get in on the legs, grab a tight waist, circle to the back, and she's very good there. She has good suplexes. She's smart in the way she transitions. She's low risk. She'll keep top position, but she has very quick back takes as well. And I just feel in this fight that Lee's going to be able to use her takedowns or control game to grind out a win. On the feet, I think she's going to be able to hold her own, may even be able to land the better shots. Lee can't fall asleep on the mat because Jojo does have some submissions off her back, but Lee's last 3 opponents have all arguably been better grapplers off their backs than Calderwood. And I just see Lee going forward, getting takedowns, bank control time, and winning a pretty easy decision here. So I'm going with Andrea Lee to get it done here. And up next here, we have Mayweather Taisumov taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira. And Mayweather Taisumov, he ran his UFC winning streak to 6 in his last fight, but wasn't the cleanest performance. He missed weight by 5 pounds. Had a closely contested fight, even though he's a massive favorite. And Taisumov has defeated some pretty weak competition during his UFC run. He can't get a visa to fight in the United States, and it's really stunted his career. And he's also not been extremely active. He basically has fought only one time a year since 2015. And he's coming off yet another year layoff here. And Carlos Diego Ferreira, he's been looking better than ever lately. He traveled to Russia. He dominated a fighter who was also on a 6-fight win streak in Rustam Khabilov. And since returning from his USADA suspension, he's been on a tear. He's won 3 consecutive fights and 4 consecutive fights overall. And a win here would most likely get him a top 10 opponent. But this fight's going to be about distance control. Mayweather Taisumov is going to want to be Technical counter and move, uses superior speed, walk Diego into his combinations. When Diego tries to force a brawl, be smart, don't engage. Not only do I think Marbek has a big foot speed advantage, but an even bigger hand speed advantage. Taisumov is an excellent counter striker, great feints and footwork. He'll pressure fighters but stays at his range very effectively, slides just out of the way of shots, counters with his right hand. And he doesn't usually go first with his hands. He'll walk fighters down, feints, uses leg kicks, occasionally go high with the kicks. He'll even throw front kicks to the body, heavy round kicks. And, his pull counter straight and overhand right is nasty. Nice left hook. He cuts the cage off very well. He forces bad takedown attempts, sloppy striking. And he's very good at blocking and returning. Extremely accurate. In this fight, that's all he needs to do. Walk Diego into his punches, be technical. When he brawls, counter with tighter shots. He has huge power and a lot of finishes in the UFC. 15 career knockouts, and he has been knocked out one time. And Taisumov is a very good defensive wrestler. He's likely going to have to show that here. He limp legs out of takedowns very well, single legs, great sprawl on doubles. I don't think Diego's going to be able to take him down. Alan Patrick was 0 for 14 on takedown attempts. Desmond Green was 0 for 8, according to UFC.com. And Taisumov, he needs to be careful. Maybe let Diego control his center first, get his reads. Eventually, he should start going forward, drawing out his shots from Diego, countering, picking him apart. And Diego isn't the type of guy to back down. If he goes into desperation mode, gets wild, if he gets hurt or feels the fight slipping away, he very well could come forward and get knocked out. The only way I see Taisumov having issues is if he lets Diego bank time clinching him against the cage and can't deal with the forward pressure. I think he should win this fight, though, most likely. For Diego Ferreira, he has to walk down Taisumov, keep a lot of volume out there, throw straight punches, try to go first, uses jab, double jab, straight right hand, 1-2s, and he should look to attack the legs with kicks, try to slow the movement of Taisumov. He has to back him up, make him fight near the cage. And those positions are where he's going to have a chance to engage in brawls and trade. And I think Diego's going to be trying to use a similar game plan to the one he used versus Dustin Poirier. Also, where he looks good to control against the cage, go for takedowns, even pull guard. And he was able to get a good position in the clinch on Poirier, like double underhooks. But he couldn't really get a takedown or do much with the position. And Diego isn't the best wrestler. That could be an issue in this fight. I think for him to finish, he's going to need to have to get it on the ground or just land a big one-punch knockout. But Diego's always dangerous on the feet because of his power, his willingness to take and give punishment. And he always has that puncher's chance. He showed against, again, how truly elitist BJJ was, though, versus Rustam Khabilov. And he almost submitted him multiple times. He was extremely creative and dynamic in scrambles. And if this fight hits the mat, even if Taisumov is in top position, it's not where he wants to be. Ferreira has great cardio also. He'll keep pressuring you for 3 rounds. He'll throw some nice front kicks, round kicks to the body, to the head. And the variation advantage on the feet is definitely going to Marbek, though, without a doubt. And Diego has a majority of his finishes on the ground. He has 6 submissions, 3 knockouts. 2 of those are coming by ground and pound, though. And I'm going with Taisumov first or second round knockout. I just feel he's going to walk Diego into a big right hand and knock him out. I think that even if it goes to decision, it's Marbek's fight to lose. Submission is Diego's best path to victory here, but getting into the mat's tough for me to see. So, pick's going to be Marbek Taisumov to get it done here. And up next year, Curtis Blaydes taking on Shamil Abdurakhimov. And in my opinion, this fight kind of seems like an easy stylistic matchup for Blaydes. Abdurakhimov has only faced one wrestler in his UFC career, and that's when he fought Timothy Johnson. And he was taken down. He let Johnson move to mount and got finished very quickly. Looked like a fish out of water off his back there. That wasn't 2015, so he has to have improved, but you have to think he's in big trouble if he's taken down by Blaydes. You could maybe say Tybor is a grappler, but he doesn't really have wrestling credentials. And even when Shamil fought Anthony Hamilton had success tying him up in the clinch. Shamil doesn't dig underhooks well, and he can be controlled. He'll kind of just look for short uppercuts, dirty boxing, but I think he's going to get manhandled in those situations by Blaydes. Abdurakhimov does have a wushu background, so he has some bounce to him, and he's pretty light on his feet for a big guy, but I don't think he's as fast or explosive as Curtis even, and Shamil likes to fight at a more methodical pace, try to pot shot from the outside. The one shot that's dangerous in this fight for Blaydes is that counter uppercut shovel hook that Abdurakhimov throws. If he kind of ducks into that, he could get knocked out. In this fight, though, I think the ability of Blaydes to shoot the legs, unlike most heavyweights, is going to make Abdurakhimov gun-shy, and I think he won't let go with his kicks. I think he's going to be much more low volume than he even is. Just try to counter and move. And he has to have cardio to do that all 3 rounds, and he can't slow down. And he tends to get tired in grappling exchanges. This is heavyweight, so anything can happen, but I think Shamil is in trouble here. If he gets taken down, he's shown nothing to me to indicate he's going to be able to survive, and I do feel he's going to be taken down. He likes to fight at that methodical pace, clinch up when opponents try to get inside, and he's not going to be able to do that here. Blaydes has sick cardio. I see him walking him down, and Abdurakhimov isn't going to have the benefit of clinching and resting. For Blaydes, the fight is simple. Do what he always does in a very short time. Blaydes has become the all-time leader in takedowns for heavyweights, and he's very young, athletic, explosive, and he's already fought very good strikers, and he's had success largely. He's been finished twice by Francis, but he defeated Mark Hunt, he defeated Alistair Overeem, and he's smart, patient, but he can run into punches, and in this fight, he should just walk forward, be low volume, look to time the double leg like he did against Justin Willis, and I think when he times it, it shouldn't be hard to drive through and finish. I think Blaydes may just need one takedown to finish the fight. I think if Blaydes could survive round 1, he's a huge chance at winning, and I think if he may even be able to finish in round 1. If he doesn't get a takedown and finish in round 1 himself, I think he's going to get a finish somewhere over the 3 rounds, but I'm going to say Blaydes gets a late first round TKO from the mount. I just see him getting a takedown and finishing at some point in this fight for sure, so pick's going to be Curtis Blaydes to get the victory here. Man, up next we have another sick fight with Khabib's main man here, Islam Makhachev, and he's getting a chance to compete here on the same card, so it's probably pretty cool for him. And he's won 5 consecutive fights. He's 6-1 in the UFC, and he's more of a guy that likes to walk fighters into his power, and he's a decent striker, but really he's mainly a grappler. And Davi Ramos, he's 4-0 at lightweight, and he has 3 finishes. He's won his first UFC fight via decision in his last fight, and his one loss in the UFC was at 170. This is a big step up for him. If he wins this fight, he'll probably get a top 10 matchup, and Ramos has stated, that he wants to fight Khabib, so this is a very close proximity, but to me, I don't get the line on this fight at all. It's a different matchup that Islam's never faced before. Islam's never faced a fighter who may be able to sweep him or make him be defensive, even in top position. For sure, he doesn't want Ramos on top of him. On the feet, I do feel Islam is probably more technical, tighter, straighter punches, good fluidity with kicks. And he's a southpaw. He has a good pull counter, straight left hand, heavy leg, body, and head kicks. I'm not really sure if Islam's going to be comfortable taking down being on top of Davi. Islam was swept, put in submission attempts against Arman Sarukian, and Davi is a whole different beast on the ground. I could see Islam maybe implementing a game plan of feinting takedowns to create punching openings, leg kicks, and control against the cage, and then getting late takedowns in the round to seal him off. But Islam does have power, but not the power that Davi has. He definitely wants to stay away from trading. For Ramos, I think that he's going to be confident here, go forward. I see him trying to walk down Islam early, pressure heavy, try to land big overhands, hook flurries inside. I think he's going to want to try to use his forward pressure to get the knockout like Martins did with the overhand, or force a bad takedown, snatch the neck, or take top position. And we haven't seen Islam at all really off his back. Islam hasn't had any UFC fights besides T-Bow where he got a quick knockout that he fought on the feet and won really. And Islam maybe is going to look to push the pace in the clinch, try to gas Davi out that way, where he could start to take him down, hold him down in rounds 2-3. In this fight, though, man, I think Davi is a competitor. I think he's going to be ready for absolute war and going to be a great version of himself. And I think this line is crazy. And just because of that, all the value, I'm going to go with Davi Ramos via rear naked choke in this fight. I'm going to say second round rear naked choke by Davi Ramos here. Man, another great fight here. Paul Felder taking on Edson Barboza. And this is a rematch, obviously, of a fight from about 4 years ago when Felder was still undefeated at that point. He was much less experienced, and Barboza was already, a motherfucker in the UFC at that point. So, much different points to their career now. And that fight was fairly competitive. Barboza won clearly, but Paul Felder was, he was in there, and it seemed like, I don't know, I feel like if they fought again after watching that fight, maybe he would get the victory, because he was starting to check some of those leg kicks. He was able to take the power of the body kicks, and he was doing some stupid stuff where he was spinning. He was kind of playing Edson's game, playing to the crowd, and it wasted a lot of time where he could have just been still walking Edson down, chopping at the legs, going, with those punching combinations, because he was landing that left hook all day on Edson. Edson, everyone knows that if you can get inside on Edson, his boxing isn't that great, and his chin is a little bit suspect. I mean, especially after getting knocked out again by Justin Gaethje. And Barboza's obviously going to want to be moving and kicking in this fight, countering, keeping Felder on the outside, and Felder's going to try to walk him down. I think now, though, Felder's maybe should try to use like a more Muay Thai approach here, where high guard, check the leg kicks, walk him down, and just try to get into boxing range, chop the legs, back him up near the cage, and take him out with the hands, because I feel like, at this point in the career, Felder's definitely the more durable guy. Edson, he's been taking a lot of damage lately. He's been losing a lot of fights, and Felder wants this, man. I mean, Edson's already kind of felt what it's been to be at the top, and I don't know, after you lose that bad to guys like Kevin Lee, to Khabib, to Justin Gaethje, do you really still believe that you could win the title, that you could compete at that level? Because I think Paul Felder does. I think in Paul Felder's head, he thinks, hey, I'm still climbing up this ladder. If I get a win here, I could compete with the Khabibs. I could compete with all these guys. With Edson, it's hard for me to say that he still thinks that. I feel like he knows that he's on the back nine, and I think that Felder is just going to want it more. I think he's going to be able to walk him down. I think that the fact that Edson got knocked out in his last fight and he's coming back pretty soon, I don't really like that. And he's taking a lot of damage, man. And I just feel like at some point in this fight, I don't really know which round, to be honest with you, but I just think that Felder is going to land a big shot, whether it's a left hook, whether it's an overhand right. But I think it's going to be with a punching combination. And I think he's going to knock out Edson Barboza. So pick's going to be Paul Felder, the Irish Dragon, to get the victory here. Man, here we go. The main event with Khabib taking on Dustin Poirier. And man, I mean, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you guys know that I love Dustin Poirier, man. I mean, we've been riding with the dude where I think I bet on him against Eddie twice. He was either underdog or close to underdog. I bet on him against Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway. So, I mean, we've been racking it. Anthony Pettis, we've been racking up with this dude, and man, I love Dustin Poirier, man. I like action fighters, man. People that bring that motherfucking action, like Nate Diaz, Nick Diaz, Poirier, Tony Ferguson. I mean, these dudes bring it, dude. And so does Khabib. I mean, he's a mauler. He smashes people, but it's true. I mean, it's like smash. So he smashes motherfuckers, and if you're gonna do work on the ground, you can't hate on that. Obviously, I would really want Dustin to come in here and knock this fool out, man. That would be sick. But in this fight on the feet for Khabib, I would say not engage much, just move, circle away, make Dustin come to him, and when he plants his feet or gets off balance, go for the takedown, and do what you do with the single leg. And Khabib actually has very fast hands, 1-2s. Good jabs, but he isn't someone that put combinations together. So once he gets his takedowns going, if he can get them early on, then I think he's going to be able to start landing the jab overhand right. It's 1-2s. But Dustin is a fighter who plants his feet a lot, and when he gets opponents on the back foot, he comes forward in a straight line and throws combinations, and he can't do that in this fight because I feel like Khabib will easily take him down. If he does do that, and Khabib has that nasty single leg, man, if you sit down at a punch, plant your feet, he's going to be in on the leg or in on the clinch, and you're probably going to be on your back more often than not. And Poirier in this fight, he needs to use more lateral footwork, work off the jab, keep it in Khabib's face, try to pull counter, walk Khabib into shots like a knee or a kick. And I also feel like Poirier should maybe even shoot at the legs himself or go for the clinch like Ally Aquita did, because when Aquita did that, Khabib's eyes got real big, like he was very surprised. And if Khabib's only worried about striking, he can just move around, avoid the fight, wait on his moment and just shoot it on the legs. But if you shoot it on his legs, especially if someone could take him down, I could see it throwing him off. Dustin, I just don't think he'd be able to take him down. But if someone can, I think it maybe could throw Khabib off. But Dustin really hasn't faced any wrestlers, man, in recent fights. I guess you could say Eddie Alvarez, but besides him, the last wrestler he's probably faced was Jonathan Brookings. And a lot of opponents he's faced recently don't really move a lot. And, Khabib is good at, moving around and kind of just like surprising you with shots like he did against Conor or getting the takedown. And those are fighters that gave Dustin problems like MJ, McGregor, Cub Swanson. And Dustin's going to try to want to walk Khabib down, and he can't let Khabib back him up, control the center of the cage. And he has to try to force Khabib to get frustrated and come forward and make mistakes. He needs to use his jab to back him up, get him flustered, then try to land some flurries or counters, take him out. Khabib has struggled the most with southpaws, I guess, if you want to say that. He was hit a few times clean by McGregor and Michael Johnson. And in this fight, though, I really want to pick Dustin, but he isn't a fighter with good lateral movement. I don't know if he can use his jab to constantly back Khabib up and keep him at range. I just feel like Khabib's going to be able to take him down and win enough rounds to retain his title. It's in the Middle East. This whole thing is kind of set up for Khabib to get the victory here. Khabib's 27-0. He's a big star. I mean, everyone wants to see that Tony versus Khabib fight. I just feel like Khabib's going to be able to take him down and win the fight. I don't think Poirier will quit. I think he's going to have some moments, but I think he's going to lose a decision 4-1, maybe 3-2 at best. I just think this is a hard fight for Dustin here stylistically. And, man, I don't like picking against Dustin, man. I hope he gets the win. But, I don't know. It's just hard not to like the guy with everything, with the good fight, all that. I mean, he's just a good dude and really fun to watch. And, he's been in the UFC for a long time, so really hope Dustin gets the win. But that's going to be the breakdown here for UFC 242. Like I said, it's going to be on MMA Odds Breakers as well, so go support it over there if you can, man. Just go click on the link, whatever. But yeah, man, so for the most confident pick of the week, I'm going to say Curtis Blaydes. And for the parlay of the week, it's going to be Andrea Lee and Marbek Taisumov. And, so hopefully we can go back to the winning ways again this week, cash out on the parlay. And, like I said, make sure to remember that this fight's, again, on the West Coast start at 7:30 a.m., the early prelims, so don't miss out on it because you thought it was at night or whatever. And, so thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next week.